Hello. Today, as part of the New Year, New You series of webinars, I'm speaking to Susannah Alexander. Susannah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, it's Susannah Alexander here. My business is Nutrition with Susannah and I'm based in London and I'm a size-friendly nutritional therapist, which means that I make food fun and accessible, and it's not about what size or shape you are, it's about feeling good in your own body.
So today we're going to talk about sort of how our bodies change through menopause and perimenopause and how we can embrace that. Is that right?
That's it, yes. Yes, because I think, you know, at any age, women particularly, it happens to men as well, but I'm guessing that most people who are on here are women.
Yep.
Women particularly are kind of taught to be at war with their bodies, and they're taught that they must subjugate their bodies and their bodies must be a certain way. And so when we come to menopause and our bodies change in a way that, you know, is much more dramatic than anything we've experienced since adolescence, then it can be quite scary and quite intimidating and quite upsetting for some people. So I just want to sit with that for a minute and acknowledge that and see whether there's anything that we can do about it to understand it better and perhaps look at it in a new way.
So when we find that our body's changing, how can we turn that into a positive rather than a negative?
Well, I think what you have to understand is that your body is not your enemy. And I think a lot of women have difficulty with this because very much they want their body to be a certain way or do certain things, and sometimes physiology doesn't cooperate, and we're sometimes presented with some very unrealistic images. So, you know, we're presented with sort of 50-year-old celebrities who looked like they're 20, and I saw a thing on social media last night about this 80-year-old woman who's, you know, got her leg in the air and looking, and you know, she's a gymnast. And I heard a wonderful story the other day about someone who tried to burgle an 80-year-old woman. She tackled him to the ground, and when the police turned up, she said, "Didn't he know I was a bodybuilder?" And you know, these are all amazing stories, but it's a false equivocation. You know, we all think that because that happened to some celebrity who's got 10 personal trainers and is able to have plastic surgery, it can happen to us. And you know, these stories of 80-year-old women bodybuilders are amazing because they're outliers, because it's not every single person, but every single person feels that they've got to be like that. And it's not the truth. You don't have to do anybody else, you have to do you. That's the thing, we have to be ourselves. So what happens when our body's doing things that we feel, this is not me? So let me give you an example. You know, the menstrual cycle changes at this time of life. You know, it may slow down, it may become less regular, it may stop altogether. And for some women, that's brilliant news, because they're like, oh gosh, you know, I don't have to worry about my period anymore. Cool. For some women, you know, take me for example, if you've had your family, it's great. You're like, well, I don't want any more children, and now I don't have to do contraception. I haven't had my children, and I really, really want my children, really want. And so that's really hard for me, that actually my periods are starting to slow down a little bit and I can't set my watch by them like I used to be able to do. But I want women out there to know that if this is them as well, there are options for you. There are options for you in this country up until the age of 50, and there are options for you in the States up until the age of 51. I can't pretend these options are available on the NHS, they're not, but they are out there. And if that's you, then you know, you need to look for those options. And it's not a question of fighting your body. Your body is doing what it needs to do to take you to the next stage. Seeing it as an enemy is just going to make it emotionally so much harder for you, trust me, because I know, you know, I've been there. You know, saying to yourself, okay, I'm going to acknowledge that my body is ready to move on to another stage in my life, and I'm going to make it the healthiest body I can, and I'm going to make the best possible use of all the options that are available to me out there to enable my body and my mind to be able to work together on this, I think that's really, really important. You know, you are not disempowered because your menstrual cycle is changing. You're not.
Absolutely. And I think this is specifically relevant to this, with the two of us speaking, because you're a nutritionist, I'm a personal trainer. Neither of us is the shape that society would perceive us to have to be to do this job, if that makes sense. And I think that also is really a really strong message that both of us have, that this body, this one, it's the only one I have. It's the only one that's going to get me through my life. If I start hating it and berating it for being a size that society thinks it shouldn't be, that's not helping anybody, is it?
Exactly. And you know, size acceptance doesn't mean we can't be healthier. Every single person can be healthier in the body they have, and that's not an ableist message, by the way. I've heard that you're not allowed to talk about health because it's ableist. It's not. I'm saying be where you're at. You know, how is it, if you think about wheelchair athletes, my God, they're fit. There's nothing ableist to say you can't be healthy, whatever your situation. You know, I've got a friend at the moment who's a similar age to ourselves, and she just sent me an email to say she's signed off work with fibromyalgia and she's in a really bad place. And, you know, that's horrible. That's terrible. It doesn't mean that there aren't steps that she can take to be healthier where she's at.
Yes.
You know, we're not talking about perfection, we're talking about being ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think once we overcome that societal hurdle, really that absolutely sums up the new year, new you, doesn't it? Just learning to be at peace with who you are right now.
Absolutely. And another thing I was reading about a bit last night, because I thought it would come up, is weight gain during the menopause. Because a lot of women gain weight during the menopausal period, and that really upsets them. You know, they're going, I've heard it so many times, you know, I'm eating the same things, I'm taking the same amount of exercise, and I'm gaining weight. You know, what's it is my body doing to me? And the answer is, well, we don't know exactly, but the theory that I have, and it is backed up in the literature, is that what your body's actually doing is that it's putting some extra meat on your bones to help you avoid osteoporosis. And when you think about the pain and the suffering and the incapacity and the difficulty that's caused by fractures and falls in older age, you can actually be quite thankful that your body is doing that for you. So Absolutely. Think of it not as, you know, my body is, you know, it doesn't look the same as it did when it was 15. Think of it as my body's trying to protect me for something really unpleasant in older age.
Yeah, my body's preparing me for the next stage of my life.
Absolutely. And, you know, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say you can eat well, and you can, you know, you can have a great diet, but you can also, where Emily comes in, you know, train your body that whatever size it is, you can have an impact on the muscle density you have, and potentially where you gain the fat. Because what's potentially more risky is not so much that you're gaining weight, but that you're gaining what we call central adiposity, visceral adiposity, so fat around the middle. That's the thing that could increase the risk of some diseases. So we can kind of manage that, but perhaps it's not within your control to manage overall weight gain. And I think we have to be aware of that, and we have to be aware of the job that the body is doing to take care of us. It doesn't know that you don't want to be a supermodel anymore. All it knows is it's taking care of you. It wants to prevent you being in hospital with a nasty hip fracture.
Yes, and it your body doesn't look at Instagram, does it?
Exactly. Yes.
That's really true, and absolutely, I think one of the huge messages that comes through in all of the webinars I record is that perimenopause and menopause is an amazing opportunity for us to get ready for the next stage of life and leave behind the previous stage and just move on, you know.
Totally. So I actually, this is very topical because last night I was looking at a Facebook group that I'm in, and there was a woman there, and she's like, "Oh, I'm 53 years old, and my kids have left home, and I don't even." It was something about going towards your dreams. She's like, "I don't even have any dreams. You know, all my dreams were around making my kids happy, and now they've left home, and I'm 53, and I feel like my life is over." And I was like, "Listen, sweetheart, let me tell you a story." My mum started her business at 55. Okay, so you know she'd been a mum and a corporate wife all her life, and for sort of 20 years she'd basically been, I mean, she absolutely loved my dad, they had a wonderful marriage, but she'd been a corporate wife. She hadn't been a career woman, she hadn't been in the workplace, and at 55 she started her business. At 86 now, she's 87 next week, she's going to work still every day. Now, I'm not suggesting for one moment that anybody out there is contemplating going to work at 87. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that 53 or 55 or even 60, no way is it too old to start something new, whether it's business or travel or whatever it is you want, you know, whether it's joining a choir or becoming an artist. I went back to theatre for the first time this year. I'm 46 years old. I haven't been in a show in 25 years, and I've been doing sort of ensemble work this year, and I've just been cast in my first principal role at the age of 46 for the first time in 25 years. So it's, you know, don't think of it as the end. Think of it as the beginning of something new. We are never too old for our dreams. We are never too old to start something new. My mother's business is obviously successful because she's still there. She's got royal patronage. She's won a string of awards. You know, there are numerous possibilities out there, and we're so lucky now because we have the internet. So even if we're kind of at home, or you know, we're in a caring role or something like that, we can still run a business. I know a gentleman who published a book of, actually it was my aunt's wartime letters, who was at home caring for his mother. So even if you're at home as a carer, even if you're you know, working a busy job, even if you think you're a little bit older than the average person who starts a business, you're probably not. I'm in a business group, all the women are in their 40s, 50s and 60s. There are no limits.
Such a strong message. Thank you so much, Susannah.
No problem. You know, I really believe it. I really believe so many people start. The actress Miriam Margolyes. Yes. You know, I mean, she's a great example, and indeed Leslie Joseph. I was just actually, I went to an event last week. The woman who invented Dorian Green. You remember Dorian Green, the character from Birds of a Feather? You know, Leslie Joseph in her mini skirts. And she said, you know, Leslie Joseph, she was basically Maureen Lipman's understudy until the age of 46.
Wow.
And then she got her break in Birds of a Feather, and you know, she became this iconic figure. You know, whether you love Leslie Joseph or not, you don't forget that character. And that character didn't happen to her until 46. And it, you know, Miriam Margolyes, if you know her, she's on the Real Marigold Hotel and the Call the Midwife and so on. And you know, again, she hasn't got the most idealized body, and she hasn't got the most idealized face. And of course, people sort of said to her, you know, you're not going to make it as an actress. She came into her own in midlife. And now look at her, she's all over our tellies.
Yeah, and the same can be said for Dame Judi Dench.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, amazing role model. Awesome. Right, I'm going to, because we can carry on just talking about role models.
Yes, we could.
But thank you so much, Susannah.
I guess that the last thing I want to say is that, you know, this business transitions and journeys, a lot of cultures have names. You know, our name for menopause is a bit pejorative, but many cultures have a name that implies a journey and a going forward. So again, you know, a lot of the negative feelings that we have around this time in our lives are just cultural memes that we've picked up. They don't have to be true. We don't have to accept them.
Absolutely. Perfect. Thank you so much, Susannah.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you all out there.